So being weak is morally wrong. So being morally wrong or being morally weak is morally wrong. Why is this? It is because weakness is unable to stand up to evil, it's unable to control its emotions, it's unable to defend others, unable to defend itself against corruption, unable to sacrifice, it needs immediate pleasure, it cannot, bear pain or suffering, has no resilience. What it's in weakness, it's unable to do what is right. Right. So we have Peter Pettigrew here from the Harry Potter series. He was unable to stand up to his fear of Voldemort and his fear of death, so he betrayed his friends. He betrayed the people who took care of him for years and was his friends for years. So continuing along, weakness is cowardice, it's selfishness, it's emotional outbursts, it's dishonesty. Weakness is hypocrisy, it's hedonism, gluttony, corruption, manipulation, it's traitorous, it's immaturity, it's undisciplined. Weakness is morally wrong. There's nothing good about being morally, or there's nothing good about being weak, right? You can, being weak just means you're unable to do. Right. I think Jordan Peterson actually made a good point. He said, just because, being weak, it doesn't mean you're a good person. It just means you're unable to do things. You have to, in order to be a morally good person, you have to be able to commit evil, but choose not to. If you're unable to commit evil, that doesn't make you a good person. That makes you just unable to commit evil, right? If so, you can't have that inner struggle of should I do evil or should I do good if you aren't even able to do evil, right? So weakness is cowardice, right? People who are unable to stand up for what's right and what's good, they are cowards, right? Or even traitors, people will betray others because of their own selfishness, which is the second point. They need immediate pleasure, they need recognition, so they betray the people who have taken care of them their whole lives or for a long period of time for their own selfish gain. Weakness is dishonest. If people cannot tell you the truth or be honest with you, they're just weak. If they're afraid of your reaction, they're just weak. If people are hypocrites, then they're weak. You can't, like, if you have values, just stand for them. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't be weak and uh, not stand up for your values in the face of whoever, right? Or even hedonism and gluttony, that is the embodiment of weakness because they are just immediately seeking pleasure through food or other hedonistic activities because they cannot, you know, sit with themselves for more than a second and bear pain or suffering, humility, or any negative emotions. They can't handle that. They can't bear those, right? That is weak if you cannot bear those things. Or it's manipulation. Manipulation is weakness because you have to twist reality in order to get what you want. Does that make sense? You can't be honest. You can't tell the truth. You have to manipulate things. And weakness is immaturity because immaturity is just it's the undeveloped. It's I don't know how to explain it, but it's literally just weakness in itself, or even being undisciplined. That is weakness because you can't say no. You have to, again, always need pleasure. You always need immediacy. You need instant gratification. So physical strength correlates to moral strength, but it doesn't does it automatically mean you have moral strength? Because you can be physically strong and still be morally weak, and you can be morally strong but physically weak. However, there is a huge correlation to being physically strong and morally strong. Likewise, there's a huge correlation to being morally weak and physically weak. Because if you're physically weak, you cannot morally stand up to the bully or stop the bully. You might stand up to them, but if the bully starts pounding your face in, then it can still do what it wants. It can still go back to bullying the person it was bullying, right? No matter how much you stand up to it. In order to physically stop evil, you need to be physically stronger than evil. That's why you'd call, the principal or the police or something. They'll use their more strong physical force or legal force to stop that evil person, right? So physical strength cultivates good morals like discipline. Uh, in order to be physically strong, you have to be disciplined. You have to go to the gym multiple times, or you have to do your workout, or you have to do your sport multiple times a week. Like it's not a one and done instant thing. It's weeks and months and years. Patience as well, because again, you have to like understand that it's going to take some time and it's not going to be instant, right? So that's another virtue that you're going to cultivate. And responsibility. You have to be able to respond to the calls to grow. You have to be able to, you know, again, be responsible for what you eat and what you do. You have to be resilient. Getting physically strong requires resilience because it's going to be painful and you're going to have to push through that pain. Likewise with self-control. I mean, you could, yes, have no self-control towards eating food, but you still, if you want to have like not be fat, basically, you have to have self-control and watch what you eat. Or even if you're not even just like lifting weights, but if you are a martial artist of some sort, you have to have self-control and not just start swinging on your opponent at every single turn. And when they punch you in the face, you have to control yourself not to just get angry and let your emotions boil over. Accountability, physical strength cultivates accountability because you have to, be accountable to your routine, to your exercises, to your schedule, to your timing, to the food that you eat, right? Even commitment, again, you have to commit. It's a lot of patience. This commitment builds loyalty, so you're loyal to this one thing, you're committed to this thing, you're seeing it through no matter what, you're pushing through all of it, right? And same with like grit, with focus, perseverance. It builds courage, especially if you have to perform. Like if you have to go into the football field, or have to go get into the boxing ring, or have to do something in front of the crowd, like that takes courage no matter what, and it also builds confidence. So a great example is children. I mean, of course, children are physically and morally weak. It's because they're children. They're new to this. They have no experience. So it's not their fault, but they're just a good example. They give in easily, right? Like you convince them like, hey, the marshmallow experiment where it's like if you wait till I get back, you will get more marshmallows. Most kids break under the pressure. Or you can convince them easily, right? They're easily manipulated, or they cry when they don't get their way. They physically lash out, right? They're not in control of their emotions, or they're entitled, right? So kids are just a great example of physical and moral weakness and why those things in adults are very bad. So some examples that I think most people know, top left is King Rodan from the Lord of the Rings. He was manipulated and lied to. He was under the pressure, basically the spell of evil. And that brought upon moral weakness, right? He couldn't stand up to evil because he was evil. He was morally weak. To the right, you have Fredo from The Godfather. Again, like he betrayed his family. He went behind their back because he was weak. He saw power in other places. He wanted prestige in other places because he wasn't getting the respect that he thought he deserved, he was entitled to. And then the bottom left is from 300, the Hunchback from 300. He betrayed his people and Leonidas because Leonidas wouldn't let him serve in the army, in helping him fight because he was a risk to the people. Like he couldn't physically do what was necessary, and that sucks as a reality. Like we can have empathy in that fact towards him, but then he went and he betrayed his people for, as we saw in the movies, all this luxury because he was resentful, right? The weakness of resent. And then two examples, right? Back to the 300 movie, Leonidas on the right. He was physically and morally strong. Like he took 300 men and they stood up to, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of men to stop them from invading his homeland. Like he didn't care about, pleasure or money or ruling other kingdoms, which is what he was offered by Xerxes. He said, yeah, no, I don't care. I want freedom for my people. Right. And he stood up for that and he stood on those morals even in the face of death. And Captain America, also a very strong and morally strong person. He stands up for what's right no matter what. Like he does what is right, does what's morally right no matter what. And that is why, the point of this video is that everybody should be having some sort of physical exercise that makes them physically stronger, because then that will cultivate other morally good virtues. Okay? All right.